So hey, what's up? It's Jeff Leisawitz with brownpapertickets.com. I'm also the author of Not Effing Around, the no bullshit guide for getting your creative dreams off the ground. You know I love talking to creative people. Oh my God, check out this guy, Miguel Edwards. What is up, man? I'm not of the hat. I love it. Okay, man. So what do you do in the world of creativity? What's your thing?
Well, I do a little bit of everything, but I've narrowed it down over the years to mostly sculpture and photography. I'm also president of Center on Contemporary Art. But I also really try and encourage and foster other people's creativity and help out their process.
Fantastic. What do you love about all this? I mean, you're devoting your life to creative stuff. What do you love about it?
That's all of it. I mean, everything about the creative process is just so much more fun and juicy than any other way of living. I mean, for me, it's really the only option, I think. I'm pretty sure.
For a lot of us, it's sort of, you could get the day.
You know, though, I did see a really nice cubicle the other day. And I was like, man, I could sit there 40, 50 hours a week. Get me some.
Sounds fun. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So you've been at this in various ways since you've been a kid, I take it, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
So in what ways would you consider yourself successful? What is success for an artist, for you?
I mean, I think success is feeling like you're doing good work and sticking with it and just growing both as an artist and as an individual and maybe even as a business. This whole starving artist thing, don't ever say that to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know, people are welcome to go have as much ramen as they want, but preferably it's at a nice restaurant with, you know, a soft-boiled egg coming out of a little plastic baggie.
So true. That's absolutely true. So you've had success, you know, according to your definition over the years, for sure. So what have you learned from your successes?
What have I learned from my successes? Nothing.
From keeping on that path, from, you know, not being discouraged, that kind of stuff.
You know, I actually have some notes here.
All right.
So I'm not sure if this completely answers your question, and I hope I'm not.
Answer whatever question you want to answer, man. You can be a politician all day long. It's fine with me.
For me, a big part of this process of living a creative life and helping others and stuff is continually and actively identifying your own strengths and weaknesses and playing to your strengths. That's one. And another really important, and this is sort of the second part of that, is just because you can do something doesn't mean that you A, should, or B, it's a good use of your time. And so there's this balance of, you know, well, I mean, I feel pretty strongly that I can do just about anything. But that doesn't mean that I could, should, or will.
Or
and know that, you know, we as humans are social creatures, and you don't, this is not this solitary me as artist or me as creative in this vacuum. You're part of this growing thing, hopefully, and reaching out to people for help and guidance and sharing that as well, I think is a pretty big key to everything. To be blunt.
It's the key to everything. I like it, and I totally agree with that. Okay, so
Did that answer the question?
Yeah, well, you're close enough. Okay, so you are a man of action. You take a lot of action. You do a lot of stuff. So I want to know, what strategies do you take to complete your goals? Like lists, you have people to be accountable to. How do you organize your action and then just get stuff done?
That's a tricky question. A good notebook is pretty key, but and again, that plays a little bit to identifying your strengths and weaknesses. For me, I'm a little bit towards the ADD side, and some people view that, or society occasionally views that as a deficit, and I embrace it as a strength. I am a multi-thread processor, and I'm always going a million directions. I need to, keep it focused a little bit, but lists or good apps or something so that you stay on track. But it's, playing to your strengths and, work hard, play hard, take a nap, have a beer, have a Bloody Mary, continue. Restart.
I was going to say that my favorite quote so far was, "I am a multi-thread processor," but I may have to reconsider. Okay, so do you ever sort of visualize your the outcomes that you want to create in this world?
That's absolutely, and I think that's a huge part of my success. It's always going on in the background when I'm in the shower, when I'm driving. I'm always thinking about long-term goals, short-term goals, and sometimes I sit down and I write a list about some specifics of it. But once you decide, not ponder, but like, all right, I'm going to do this, and then you figure out the steps of like, all right, there's a line between these 2 points, and what are the steps in getting there, and then following those. But to that, I think, and this is an interesting thing, I've asked a lot of artists questions about their goals, and a lot of them are not really shooting for the moon. And it's good to have attainable goals, but I think you need to have stratified goals of things that I can accomplish this week, this month, this year, and shooting for the moon, so that you're always have more to shoot for, but you have these successes along the way, so you're continually feeling that progress.
Absolutely. Yeah, very cool. It takes a long time to get long term. Ooh, quote me on that.
Write that down.
It's on the tape. Awesome. Okay, so how about this? Opportunity. Do you look for opportunity? Create opportunity? What is your relationship?
All of this, all of the time. Every day is an opportunity. Every person is an opportunity. I mean, it kind of comes down to a little bit of a degree of attitude and positivity, but you never know, the person standing behind you, in the checkout line might be the biggest client of your life, or the love of your life, or whatever. And just being open to all of these different experiences, and you could get caught up in things, but just being open so that you can identify these things. And sort of what I do is I'm always casting this wide net. I get a phone call, "Oh, we need to build a time machine for this movie." Great, let's build a time machine. I offer everyone in every opportunity a fair chance for my attention. And when effort is put in to a relationship, I meet that effort with effort. When that wanes, it's on to where I follow the momentum. And if you're not following the momentum, you're fighting uphill and you're wasting effort. And wasting effort is not how you get a lot of stuff done.
It's not MFA.
It is not.
Yeah.
It's FA.
It is FA. That's right. That's chapter 11 in the book, by the way. Okay. Very cool. Thank you.
Yes.
That's great. Follow the momentum. Another great quote on there. Okay, so we've talked about success a little bit. How about failure? Have you achieved every goal that you've ever set out to do?
Probably not. I tend to forget those ones that we all fail, and being comfortable with failure is important. And if you're not failing some of the time, you're not taking big enough chances. But if you're also playing to your strengths and gauging your skills and constantly evolving those, your failures become smaller lessons, not catastrophes.
Yeah, very big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's finding that balance. Absolutely. So after a difficult challenge where maybe you have not succeeded to your expectations, what do you do almost internally to get yourself revved up for the next thing?
Say that one more time.
So you go for a challenge, it kind of knocks you down, you didn't succeed the way that you wanted to, you regroup. What do you do internally? How do you sort of process that?
So I'm a little bit like a shark. If I'm not moving through the water, if there's not this forward motion, I am suffocating. And, like with public art and things, like there's always new applications going out. And when one comes back a no, it's just part of the process. And to me, that's not failure. It's just a numbers game. Failure, I guess, means different things to different people, but regrouping is just continuing forward. Yeah. And having multi-threaded goals.
You're a multi-threaded guy. I like it. Okay, so a lot of people out there who are sort of starting out as an artist, as a musician, as a writer, all these kinds of things, tend to get resistance from parents, peers, society, all those kinds of things when they put out their creative intentions. Have you had that at various times in your life, and what do you do with that? How do you get around it?
I'm not the best person to ask that question to. I come from a great family full of support. My dad is not only my hero, but the hero of many people. He's a nuclear and mechanical engineer and an artist. But I was never up against that. You need to, go get a degree in engineering or whatever. He maybe wishes I studied math a little bit more, but I haven't really. I mean, the biggest thing kind of plays back to that starving artist thing that you get just from casual. Oh, you're an artist. You're a flake, or you're not a hard worker, or whatever. And I don't even engage because they have no clue what they're even talking about, and it's just worthless friction that I don't have time for.
Right on. So hey, sucker, you want to hang out with me for a day? You tell me who's
Endurance is the name of the game. I mean that's and that would be one of my biggest takeaways from living a creative life is there will always be failures and there will always be disappointments, but the people that get to where they want to be are the ones that, I had a lot of friends 20 years ago that wanted to do this and that and the other, and they're on different paths now, and that's no judgment on their paths, but it is just straight up perseverance that over a long period of time is one of the single biggest variables.
Fuck right.
But if I can continue to that, situational awareness and being aware of your surroundings, which kind of plays back to the every person or experience is a potential opportunity. Situational awareness, I think, is a really important skill set to foster with oneself. And when up against a challenge and trying to meet a deadline or learn something new, use a little bit of almost scientific method, like, I want to accomplish this. What are the variables of this scenario? You're taking a photograph. Well, I can do my shutter speed, my aperture, and this, or I'm welding. So, like, what are the variables? What are the potential outcomes? And what are the relationships between these? You can look up a lot on YouTube and stuff like that, but use your own mind and come with new creative solutions that you won't find on the internet. I think that you should experiment yourself and fail a little bit and then read the instructions or look it up on YouTube. But engage that part of, and that's what true creativity is finding new ways to solve problems.
Absolutely. Putting connections between things that don't have connections.
Right. And I didn't take art history very intentionally at the age of 18. I can always take it later, but I can never untake it. And it is of that, I hate the phrase, think outside the box, but finding those variables and defining them in your own terms so that you can come up with a solution that makes sense for you. And if you're being very creative, it might make sense to the whole rest of the world. But you might not come up with that if you predispose yourself to what you saw on YouTube.
It's true. An original voice often happens by not paying attention to what everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good stuff, man.
I haven't even looked at my notes in a little bit. I got more for you.
Okay. So let's talk about mentors. Have you had mentors? Where do you find them? What is a mentor? Like, what do you get out of somebody like that?
I think having mentors is good. I occasionally have mentors. I haven't had that long-term singular mentor, and part of that is because I've always been jumping from one thing. There's constants of photography and now sculpture, but I've been a jeweler and a painter, and I did video, and I've done lots of other things, and so I've had short-term mentors. I've often wished that I've had that longer-term mentor relationship. Learning from other people's experiences, which is, what we're doing here is really valuable stuff, and obviously that's where a mentor can help a lot. Learning from other people's mistakes. If you don't have to make all of them yourself, you might save yourself a little time and add a little bit of efficiency.
Have somebody else make some mistakes for you.
Can you tell me about your mistakes?
That's right. Actually, that's a good question. I should have. Let's ask you that. Tell me about your mistakes.
That is a good question.
You thought of it.
Oh no! I would say one of my biggest mistakes was being in the wrong relationship for too long, and being in the wrong career path for too long. I cooked in kitchens for not enough money for longer than I needed to, and it became this crutch. Identify your crutches and try getting rid of them. If you need it, it'll still be there. You can always go get another job flipping burgers or whatever it is that you don't like doing, but don't wait 10 years to try setting it down. Get rid of it now. If you need it now and again, that's totally fine, but start today. You want a creative life? Do it. Don't talk about it. Don't think about it. Just like right now. When you're done watching this video, get to frickin' work. Stop looking at me. I'm on YouTube. Get to work.
That's great. You're so NFA, and you've been NFA since I've known you for 20 years. So I love it. Thank you. Okay, next question. Have you found art or the creative process to be healing or therapeutic in any way, and how so?
Yes and yes. Have I found art to be healing and therapeutic? Well, I don't feel like I have a whole lot to heal from so much. Therapeutic, for sure. After you create something that you love, that impresses, when you impress yourself, it's not about ego, but it's like, wow, like I made that. That's fucking cool. That's a feeling. If everybody felt that way, if everybody felt inspired in their life, or if half the people in the world felt inspired in their life, half the time, I bet wars would plummet. I feel like I went off on a tangent. Should we restate the question? Or did I answer it?
You answered some question. I'll take that. But I'll ask it again.
Healing.
Yeah,
Yes.
healing in art. What?
I think that being creative and productive is healing to everyone that is allowed to experience that. And, there's a lot of socioeconomic factors in giving people the time and space to do that. But absolutely, it's healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So, as you go through your creative life, have you ever had doubts about what you're doing, your value or talent as a person or as an artist? And what do you do with that?
Everyone has doubts about themselves and their process and their artwork and their whatever that creative outlet is. Everyone has it, and it's a waste of time to think that other people don't have it. I have a fair amount of people that, let's say, hold me in high regard, and that's amazing. But it's an interesting dynamic, how you view yourself versus how other people view you. And it's important to try and keep your ego pretty clear of it's great to feel proud of yourself, but you always want to be at least somewhat modest. But it's totally lost my train of thought.
Here comes the train again. Have you ever had doubts?
Doubts about my train of thought? Yes, I have. So everyone has doubts, and embrace them, experience them, process them. Don't fight them. Let them flow through you, and then turn off your laptop and get back to work. Step away from the YouTube. Get back to work.
It sounds like a common theme in some of these answers is just get back to work. Just do something.
And that there's a good point there too. Is I have a great life. I make a living as a photographer and as a sculptor, and I travel a lot, and I'm very, very lucky, and I bust my fucking ass all the fucking time. And when people are like, "Hey, let's go do this fun thing," and it's like, I would love to do that. I've got work to do. And if you think that you're going after a creative life so that you can work less, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So just go find that shiny cubicle because it's going to be more work, not less work. Get back to work.
Do you consider your day-to-day activities as an artist as work, capital W?
Yeah, it's work. There's a lot of adulting involved for sure. I mean, it's great work. It's fulfilling work, but it's work. You don't just poop out a painting and have people throw thousands of dollars at you. That's just not the I mean, there are a few people that have that existence, but there's taxes and marketing and shipping and receiving, and it's to live a creative life, an unsubsidized creative life, is a tall order, and it's a lot of work. And which is not to say that living a subsidized creative life is a bad way to go either. That's actually a pretty great way to go, because then you remove the need to make money from your art, and you can stay much more true to your emotional process, which it could be, a significant other, it could be a full-time job and you paint in the evenings, or it could be, a part-time job. For me, I work as a commercial photographer, which is less art than selling a sculpture at a gallery, but it's creative enough that, I love doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always balance, right? Depends who you are and what you're trying to do.
Yep.
Okay, so what can you get? What do you get from living this creative life and doing these creative things that you cannot get any other way?
I might be the wrong person to ask that question. What can I get? Say it one more time.
What do you get out of doing what you're doing, being creative as much of the time as possible, that you can't get? What do you get out of photography, of taking a beautiful image that you can't get any other way, or making a sculpture that you can't get any other way?
I mean, I think that you can get a sense, it's almost like creating something beautiful is a little bit like a drug. Like when you complete something that just makes you happy or sad for that matter, but when you've created that piece, whether it's a song or a sculpture or a painting or whatever, there's an emotional connection with the hard work that you've labored through to get there, the sense of accomplishment and relief, because like we touched on earlier, everybody has doubt. Like I can't tell you how many times I'm working on a piece and just like, oh man, like what have I gotten myself into? And then you get back to work and you work through it. Maybe you drink a beer and then you get back to work and you work through it until you've created something that you love. And that struggle to get to that point is a big part of the gratification of that. And I think that could be said about less creative things too, a sense of satisfaction, but you don't get the depth of emotional connection. And especially once you take it out of your realm and share it with the world, when you see that affecting other people's lives, you're not going to get that from a brilliant spreadsheet as much.
Probably not.
I'm not.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, but it sounds like you've got some notes on there that you want to spout some good stuff, so let's hear it.
I've got some more for you.
Okay.
So we already did continually and actively identify your strengths and weaknesses. Play to your strengths. Just humans are social creatures, and asking for help and input is always a good idea. And finding a mentor for yourself, do it. Just because I never found that singular mentor doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Or it might not be. You might have different mentors for different parts of your life. But also reinvest in that system and mentor other people. If everyone was more creative, we would all be happier. Next paragraph.
Nice. Bam. That is great.
Making a living as a creative is a business, if to do it for the long term. Choose partnerships very, very carefully. It can be such a fiasco to dissolve a partnership. If you do enter into some sort of partnership, have a very concise exit strategy, preferably in writing, so that everybody's clear on their expectations. However, build alliances every day. Sort of like be a mentor, like build alliances every day. Be careful with partnerships.
More good advice.
This one to me is sort of a raw nugget, a lowest common denominator of a lot of this is decide who you want to be in the world and in the universe, and then become that person every day. And we talked about doubt, some days are better than others, but if you walk into a room, into a gallery opening, whatever it is, and you're like, this is who I am and this is what I do, people are going to walk up and be like, no, you're not, because you are, because you've decided that you are. Human perception is such a tremendous part. I mean, it's the whole part of everything we're doing here is human perception. So if you perceive yourself as this creative badass, then you are. So make the decision. I am this person, and be that person. And not just in your head, in your actions and how you treat your life, the decisions you make, your integrity, and how you foster that in other people moving forward.
Hell yeah! You're on a freaking roll, man. That's awesome.
We've already covered this. Everyone, even the most successful people, second guess themselves sometimes. So even though you look at them and see this amazing human that you then judge yourself against, know that they are doing the same thing, and it's part of the process. It's not quite the best sentence, but you know what I'm saying.
Get the
Sacrifice is hard work. I think I've driven that one home. Systematically identify weaknesses. Oh, all right. Last nugget. After you have systematically identified your strengths and weaknesses, then invent ways to overcome them. Don't just YouTube it. Don't just Google it. What am I good at? What am I not good at? How do I become better at that? If you can't figure it out yourself, feel free to use the internet. But the answer might be in an app or just a notebook that you always have on your person. But it could be your friend Jeff. It could be some alliance. You don't have to do everything by yourself. So
fantastic.
So go get him. Go make some art.
Go do it.
1, 2, 3, go.
Sweet. Miguel, thank you so much for doing this.
And then drink a beer.
Don't forget that part. Amazing photographer, sculptor, all-around creative guy, and super powerhouse. Thank you so much.